Hey everyone, welcome to this video on Leo rising in love. This video is going to talk about what Leo rising needs in their love and relationships, and that's what we're going to do. I'm Cassandra of SaffronSage Astrology, and welcome to my channel. For Leo rising, we'll talk about your rising sign in love. We'll talk about your 5th house, your dating house in love, and your 7th house of relationships in love, and how those all play together. Keep in mind that the aspects in your chart where your sun, moon, Venus, and Mars are can bring a totally different story. So, take what resonates and leave the rest on these general videos. And even having planets in your 5th or 7th house can change things. That being said, let's get into the video. Leo rising sees the world through the lens of the world is my play. The world is an actual movie and you are the star of the show. So it's like your life needs to be like a movie, and you're going to have a clear life direction. You're going to want to move things forward. Fire sign risings need to feel like they're moving forward in life. So you can't be with a partner who tries to stop you from your goals. And if you do, that's going to be challenging. You really do need a partner who on some level is going to support you in what you want to accomplish, especially having a fire sign on your rising, because that means there is a fire sign on your 5th house of romance. So, this is someone who, having Sagittarius on your 5th house, the 5th house is like romance, dating. It covers other things, but in love, it's the initial fun part of dating. Having Sagittarius here means you probably really want a partner who will take you to explore, a partner who takes you to do new things, that brings a different perspective into your life, especially initially. They really do need to be like someone who opens your mind a little bit, or you can teach them something. There might be themes in your love life on things like that are Sagittarius ruled, like philosophy, wisdom, the meaning of life. You might really want a partner who, you feel like your life means something with them, or, there's something more meaningful about the experience. Beware, Leo risings, that wherever we have Sagittarius on our chart is where we always want more. No matter how good it is, we always want to keep expanding. So keep that in mind when you are considering your partner, because it's easy wherever we have Sagittarius to just sort of have that chronic dissatisfaction and not realize that when enough is enough, because Jupiter rules Sagittarius and it always wants to expand, but it doesn't know any limits. Now, you could have things in your chart that mitigate this, like if you have Saturn there in your 5th house, or Saturn in relationship to your Jupiter, or even other planets that can bring more of that awareness of limits into your life. So that could mitigate that or make it not even be true. So take that only if it resonates. But basically, you're going to be attracted to Jupiter type people. That could be people who are like the life of the party, people who have a lot of friends, people who are fun, right? Jupiter is fun. It's optimistic. People who are solution oriented. You probably are not going to want to date someone who is like a Debbie Downer, who's always telling you the problems, always telling you what you need to work on, or always trying to force you to be confined in a certain way. Those things don't really jive well with Sagittarius energy. Sagittarius is where we need the most freedom. So you need the most freedom in dating. Sometimes this can show up for Leo risings as more of a need to sort of get lots of diverse experiences in relationships when you're younger, especially. Or sometimes even Leo risings could be happier in open relationships. This is not going to apply to everyone. You need to look at where's your Venus, where's your Mars, where's your sun, where's your moon. Those things are going to change this considerably. So now we're going to look at your 7th house of long-term relationships. Now that's going to be ruled by Aquarius. Aquarius is the opposite of Leo. So you being the one who is more like the engaged actor who's, going out in the play of life and playing the role you want to play and just being you. Leo risings are here to kind of be themselves, self-expression, generosity, warmth, having lots of friends. These are all things that Leo rising want to do. Or even if you don't have a lot of friends, you could just care about how you come across to the world and really care about being a kind of person who's going to lift people up and try to make the world better in your way. Sometimes that's just by how you look, just depending on the other placements. Now, having Aquarius on that 7th house means you're going to attract people who are a little bit more detached. If you think of the kind of partner who is like super good looking, but maybe they're not as close, that can be sometimes what Leo rising attract, because you're the one who is close. You're the one who brings the closeness, and they're the opposite of that. Now, other ways this can show up. Some Leo risings are going to have a partner who is more into science, math, or technology, someone who's a physicist, right? Someone who's super smart. That's another way you could attract that Aquarian type of person. You could also attract someone who has a different kind of viewpoints, especially with Sag on that 5th house, Aquarius on the 7th house. You might really like people who are just a little bit different, because Aquarius rules also people who are rebellious, people who have attitudes that don't follow the status quo, people who have lifestyles that are outside the box. Now, outside the box is a relative term, because what box were you brought up to believe is the box? And what is outside of that? So if you're in a like traditional Christian family, then anything outside of that is going to be like Aquarius to you, because it's different for you, or it's outside of the box of what your family thought was how things are supposed to be, if that makes sense. So it's not uncommon for Leo risings also to have partners who maybe their family don't get them, or, with Uranus ruling Aquarius, it's different from you. It's not necessarily always that weird or strange. It's just different from you. So you can also see with Aquarius sometimes age differences, or differences in like your upbringing and certain values that come from that. But because you're a Leo rising, you really can handle that. With that Sagittarius being on that 5th house, the desire to experience partners who are different from you is strong in your chart. So it's really, really likely that you're not going to be, it's possible, but not always common to see like a Leo rising with another Leo rising, or another person with strong Leo placements, because it's like, then you would be dating yourself almost. And although they can be power couples and it does happen, it's more likely you're going to be the one who's like in the spotlight, and they're going to be the ones behind the scenes in some way or another. Now, keep in mind that there's a lot of different factors here. So, to get more deep into this, you're going to look at where is Uranus in your chart. Uranus ruling your 7th house of relationships. And knowing the house that Uranus sits in is going to affect what kind of Uranus type people you're attracted to, or other aspects of the relationship. So let's say Uranus is in that 7th house. Well, that means you may have times in life where you have sudden changes in relationships, or sudden upheavals in relationships. Uranus, to me, functions like a light switch. It's on or it's off. So when you have Uranus on a relationship house like this, sometimes this can bring quick changes to relationships. Not always, but it can be like when you know. And that can be true when the relationship starts and when it ends. It can also show that when it comes to even long-term friendships for Leo risings, but relationships, especially if Uranus was in that 7th, it would be like, you date someone for a while, and then there's just a breaking point, and then it ends suddenly, right? Or it starts suddenly. That's really one of the main signifiers there. But it doesn't always have to be chaotic. It could just be like the feelings are there, and then boom, they are not there. Now, I suppose this could show up for you in other ways within the relationship, where it's like, boom, you're in the mood, and boom, you're not. So, take it with a grain of salt. Take what resonates, leave the rest. But let's say Uranus is in your 2nd house. Well, that would mean that you probably could attract a partner who, makes all the money, or you could at some point in your life have a long-term partnership where they're the one financially supporting you. Now, that doesn't mean you have to do that. It's just one potential with those energies. So we can look for each sign, for each house, we can look for the 7th house and the 5th house and see where that house ruler is. And then we can go one step further and look at the aspects to get like the full thing, the full story. So there's a lot that could be said here. That's what we're covering today. If you want more on this, you can get my ideal love profile. It's a 10-minute video telling you about your 5th and 7th house, but in a personal way to you, where we're looking at not just your rising sign, but like what planets are in those houses and what that all means for your ideal love life. So click the link below to book that with me. And thank you all so much for your likes, comments, shares, everything you send my way. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you all in the next video.